Alrighty. Hope everyone is doing great. So we're continuing the Tosafot on our Mishnah. I just want to review the one that we did towards the end of our class last night, and then move on to another one. So the Tosafot were commenting on the line in the Mishnah that says Lo yifchetu lo, right here. V'lo yifchetu lo me'arba kosot shel yain ve'afilu min hatamchui. Right, in plural, they should not subtract from him from the 4 cups of wine, and even from the tamchui. So we've already seen that Rashbam, and we saw that Rabbeinu Yechiel, there's some disagreement about how to interpret this line exactly. So the Tosafot themselves weigh in. They quote the Rashbam here. Right, they say, Perush Rashbam. Rashbam explains, Gaba esedaka. Who is this phrase speaking to? They should not subtract. The they in that sentence is the Gaba esedaka. The Garas lo yifchetu. It says lo yifchetu. So explain that means in plural. Lo yifchetu. There's also it's without the without the vav. Right. Some people talk about whether that vav is significant, where it says vil lo yifchetu. Because if it was vil lo yifchetu, right, like this, like it is here, right, then maybe you would say this sentence is talking to the ani. The ani has to lean, and also the ani should not subtract from the 4 cups. So Tosafot say the correct version of the text actually should not have this vav. Our text does have it, but the Tosafot are saying that the Rashbam's text did not have it. It's not so critical, right? You could read it even if it says vi. You could read it as talking to the Gaba Esedaka, but the Tosafot are highlighting that if we want to truly show that this sentence, Afilu ani should be Israel, is talking to the ani, and this sentence is talking to somebody else, is talking to the Gaba Esedaka, then really this vav should not be here. Right, this vav right here. So Tosafot point out that it says lo yivchetu without the vav, and also yivchetu in plural as opposed to lo yivchat. Okay, Tosafot continue. V'chen nir'ah, right? This is what we just said. V'chen nir'ah midulo katani lo yivchot l'shon yachid. Right. This is also evident from the fact that it didn't say lo yivchat in singular. So we see it's clearly talking to the Gaba Esedaka as opposed to the poor person himself. Now they say, okay, but granted that it's in plural, now what about the possibility that it's referring to the cups themselves as opposed to the Gaba Esedaka? So they say, don't say that yivchetu, do not subtract, is a reference to the cups themselves. The imken havale lemitni arba kosot, because then the sentence should have read arba kosot below mem, without that mem. Okay, again, let's see it inside. Right, they're saying if the sentence was just conveying, don't subtract from the 4 cups, and not talking to a specific person, it would have said v'lo yifchetu arba kosot. Don't subtract 4 cups, meaning don't go less than 4 cups. But when it says v'lo yifchetu lo me arba kosot, it shows that somebody else is potentially acting on the 4 cups, meaning there's a different subject to the sentence that's being spoken to. Who is that? That's the Gaba Esedaka acting on the 4 cups. So the subject of the sentence is not just the 4 cups. It's the Gaba Esedaka are being spoken to, not to subtract from the 4 cups. And that's signified by this letter mem here, where it says me arba kosot. Okay? Scroll back. Okay? And now they say, V'hadeka amar min hatamchui, that last sentence of the Mishnah that says, V'afilu min hatamchui, what does that mean? They say, Lo yimna milekabel kedei lekayam arba kosot. He should not be prevented, he should not abstain from taking money from the tamchui in order to fulfill the mitzvah of the 4 cups. Okay, why would we have thought that he should abstain? Because as I pointed out last night, this Tosafot is in accordance with the opinion of Rabbeinu Yechiel, who says that even somebody who normally would not allow to be taking from the tamchui, which we defined as a person who has more than 2 meals worth of food. Okay, somebody that's allowed to take from the tamchui, from the charity plate, is somebody that has less than 2 meals worth. So he only has enough money, he has less than enough money for his next 2 meals. Such a person can take. If he has more than that, even if he has money for next 2 meals, 3 meals, still very little, but he's not allowed to take from the tamchui. Okay? So the Tosafot say, such a person, if he can't afford the 4 cups, right? He has enough money for 2 meals, but he doesn't have enough money for the 4 cups. He's allowed to use tamhui money in order to acquire the 4 cups. Okay? This, like we said last night, this is in accordance with the opinion of Rabbeinu Yechiel as opposed to the Rashbam. The Rashbam interpreted the line "Afilu mina tamchui" as talking to the Rashbam, as talking to the ani. The Rashbam is saying the Mishnah is telling the ani, "Afilu mina tamchui." Even if you're an ani that takes from the tamchui, then go into more debt. Rabbeinu Yechiel and the Tosfot are saying the same thing. Say no, it's not talking to the ani. It's also talking to the Gaba'eh Tzedakah. And the first sentence and the last sentence are both consistent in that they're both talking to the Gaba'eh Tzedakah. There is no switch from talking to the Gaba'eh Tzedakah and then switching and talking to the ani. Both the second to last sentence, V'lo yechetula, and the last sentence, V'afilu mina tamchui, both of those are talking to the Gaba'eh Tzedakah. Okay, and the last thing, we said V'arba kosot, why is it 4 cups? Peresh Rashbam, the Rashbam explained, Keneged arba'a leshonei geula, the 4 phrases of redemption, right? V'aseti, v'yisalti, v'ga'alti, v'lakachti, that are mentioned in the Torah. V'chen yesh v'Yerushalmi, and it's also taught like that in the Yerushalmi. Okay, that's a neat Tosafot pointing out, reiterating some of the chidushim of the Rashbam on our Mishnah. Any questions or comments on this Tosafot?
No.
No, we're good? Awesome.
All good.
Thank you, Isaac, for chiming in.
Of course.
All right, awesome. Okay. So now we're ready to move to the next Tosafot. Now I want to preface this next Tosafot by asking 2 questions. Okay? On Friday night for Kiddush or at the Seder, what if I told you that on Friday night, okay, how many people are obligated to hold a cup of wine when you're eating your Friday night meal?
1.
1, okay. And what about at the Seder? What do you guys think?
Everyone.
Everyone. Okay. What if I told you that either of those things were true? You guys would be surprised, I assume, right?
Neither meaning including the Kiddush?
That it's not true that only one person needs it for the Kiddush. Everyone needs it for the Kiddush. And what if I told you that not everybody needs it for the 4 cups? Let's say just the leader of the Seder needs it for the 4 cups.
That would be mind-boggling.
It'd be mind-boggling, right? So we're going to see the Tosafot are going to question those 2 assumptions that we said. Of course, our custom and the halacha as we know it today, as brought down by the poskim, is, of course, that we hold of shomea ke'oneh, that listening to Kiddush is as if you said it yourself, and therefore only the leader of the meal needs to make Kiddush. Everyone else does not. And we know on the flip side, what we do halacha is that everybody, for sure over bar mitzvah, and even a kid of the age of chinuch, has a cup of grape juice or wine for all the 4 cups. But Tosafot, we're going to see, are going to show that those 2 assumptions maybe we didn't always know that, right? It's not as clear as meets the eye. Okay, so let's learn the Tosafot with an open mind, and we'll see what they conclude in that. Okay, so Tosafot are commenting on the second to last clause in our Mishnah. Lo yifchitu lo ma'arba kosot. They should not subtract from the 4 cups. Okay, now Tosafot are making what we call a diuk. Diuk is when you an inference that's made from the words, that when the Mishnah or Gemara writes with a certain wording as opposed to a different one, that could imply to us a certain halacha. So Tosafot are going to make a diuk from the word lo. This word lo right here. So they say, mitoch halashon, from the words of the Mishnah, mashma kisat she'en notnin lebanav v'libnei beto ki im la'asmo. It sounds like you only have to give enough money to the ani for himself to buy the 4 cups, and not for his children and the people of his household. Because what does it say? It says, lo yifchetu lo. Don't subtract from him. Meaning, it only goes by the ani himself. So give the ani enough money for the 4 cups, and he will be motzi the rest of the family, right? Because the Tosafot are saying if it was true, if the Mishnah was trying to teach us that everybody's obligated in the 4 cups, then why didn't it say that the Gaba'eh Tzedakah should give enough money for him, his wife, his children, maybe even his grandchildren, right? Why didn't it say to give him enough money for them? It says give him enough money, meaning him and not everybody else, right? So that's their inference. They say again, mitoch halashon mashma kesat, from the way the Mishnah is written, the word law, mashma kesat. It sounds a little bit like she'en notnin lebanav v'lebnei beto, that he's not obligated to give a cup to his children and the people of his house, ki'im latzmo, and only for himself, v'hu mosiyat kulam b'shelo, and he fulfills everybody's obligation through him, right? They fulfill their obligation through him. What do you guys think about that reading of the Mishnah before we go any further? You agree with that inference? Disagree with that inference?
Disagree.
How would you read the word lo?
It says lo, but he's the provider of his family. Meaning, why does it need to say lahem?
Good. That's for
I
sure.
disagree with the premise.
So I agree with you also. I agree that Peshat, like you said, Isaac, is for sure. Lo yifchitu lo is because he's the one that does the budgeting, right? He's the one that, as the provider, like you said, the provider of the house, right? Lo yifchitu lo, don't subtract from the 4 cups, meaning give him enough for the 4 cups for his whole family. And it only says him because he's the person that the money goes to. Okay, but we're going to see it's not on this alone that Tosafot ask this question, right? They're going to bring other evidence as well. And also notice Tosafot, we can of course disagree with Tosafot, where when we're learning Gemara, we don't. Chacham Ovadia often says, right? You're not allowed to be noseh panim. You're not allowed to flatter. When it comes to learning Torah, if you have a question, you have to ask it, even if the person that said what of course you ask it respectfully. But just because Tosafot said something doesn't mean we can't question it. But notice that Tosafot are very careful with their word, right? They say mashma kesat. It sounds a little bit, meaning they're not trying to say this is a slam dunk proof, ironclad. It says lo yifchitu lo, and that means that for sure his kids and his wife are not obligated. It doesn't say that, right? There's mashma kesat. There's a little bit, it sounds like, a small inference that maybe we could make. And like I said, they're going to couple it with other evidence as well. But anyway, maybe I'm stacking the deck already against the Tosafot by asking that question. But you're right. The reason I asked it is because of what you said, Isaac. We don't have to lose sight of the Peshat, right? The Peshat of the Mishnah is that it says to him because he's the person that the money goes to, not necessarily that he's the only one drinking. But Tosafot are going to do this investigation, this experiment to see who is actually obligated in drinking the 4 cups. Okay? So they start off with a springboard from our Mishnah, the word lo. Okay? So are we good? Are we good on the where the Tosafot are headed? Anybody brave
All
enough
good.
to repeat what Tosafot's starting lineup is here? Should I call on somebody? I want to embarrass. Tommy, you want to take a crack at it?
Sure. They learn from mostly the word lo, but that he doesn't have to give wine to his kids and his wife, the members of his household. But lo teaches us only he needs enough money for wine.
Awesome. Thank you, Ami. Right, the word law, they're inferring that perhaps the Gaba'eh Tzedakah don't need to give him money for his family to buy the 4 cups. It's only for him himself. Okay. They say v'sivarahu. They say it's logical that only the leader of the family needs to drink the 4 cups. Why? What's the difference between the 4 cups and kiddush during the rest of the year? Right, and like you said, I think it was Sammy who said it before, right? During the year, kiddush, only the leader of the household has to drink it. Everyone else fulfills their obligation through listening. So they say, sivara, there's a logic to say that the 4 cups should be the same. Just like kiddush during the rest of the year. What's the difference? The 4 cups also, you should be able to fulfill your obligation through listening, she'achad motzi et kulam, where one person is motzi everybody. Everybody fulfills their obligation through his drinking of the kiddush. Okay? So they, like I said, they don't just rely on this diuk alone of the word law. They also bring a logical proof from kiddush. What do you guys think of the logical proof?
Well, it's slightly different because kiddush during the year, you make one bracha, you can fulfill like the Gemara, like Tosafot said to Shema Kaonet. But during the seder, you make not just one bracha on all 4 cups.
Interesting. So you want to differentiate between the 4 cups and kiddush based on the number of berachot that are recited.
That could be one just off the cuff. That's what
Right.
I think.
I would throw out another potential difference is what the function of the kiddush is versus what the 4 cups are. Right, the 4 cups, there's an inyana pirsum hanes. Right, the Gemara later is going to talk about that. And kiddush is not. There's not a mitzvah pirsum hanes. Kiddush is in order to be mikadesh liyom, to sanctify the day of Shabbat. But the 4 cups are a little different because there's it's a separate mitzvah from kiddush. Though Tosafot will get me on that because they point out that the first cup is both one of the 4 cups and it's a cup of kiddush. But anyway, there are but again, Tosafot are building a building right now. So we can't, even though we have our questions, right, we still have to let them build their building. We can't, dismantle it, every brick. But that is a question, right? That is a question the commentaries do bring down. Is it a true comparison? The comparison of kiddush to the 4 cups, is that a true comparison or not? Again, we have to suspend our disbelief. We have to be open-minded when we're learning this Tosafot, that they're saying there is a real one-to-one comparison between the kiddush and the 4 cups. Okay? So again, evidence that we have so far is the diuk from our Mishnah, the word lo yifchetu lo, which implies that it's only him that they need to give the 4 cups to. And second piece of evidence is that kiddush during the rest of the year, only the mikadesh has to have a cup, but everybody else fulfills their obligation through listening to him. So 2 pieces of evidence so far that only one person needs to have the 4 cups and everybody else can listen. Okay, so far so good. Say the Tosafot. Miu, however, gam b'kiddush shema hayala kol echad kos. Maybe the premise of their second proof is false. Their second proof was that we could compare it to kiddush, and in kiddush, only one person needs it. But they say, no. Maybe the reason that by kiddush, one person could fulfill everybody else's obligation is because everybody has their own cup. Everyone has their own cup, and they just listen to the beracha of the mikadesh, but each one is drinking. Okay? So that's what they say. How can we can't conclusively say that by kiddush, everyone fulfills through listening and not through drinking. Maybe everyone needs their own cup. So remember in the beginning, Sammy, you said, right, only the person that says the beracha has to drink. Tosafot are questioning that assumption. They're saying maybe everyone has to drink. And when we said shomea ki'oneh, that's only for the beracha. But for the drinking, everyone has to drink. Right? That's their theoretical point. So they're saying we can't use kiddush as evidence that only the mikadesh has to drink, because maybe even by kiddush everybody drank. So that's evidence that by the 4 cups everybody would have to drink as well. Okay, so the tables are turning. Everyone sees that point, right? The Tosafot were assuming that by kiddush one person is mikadesh, one person drinks, and everybody else fulfills their obligation through listening. Tosafot say maybe that's not true. Maybe even by kiddush, even though only one person's mikadesh, every person has to have their own cup and drink. The mikadesh only fulfills everybody's obligation to say a beracha, shomea ki'oneh. But drinking, how could the fact that the mikadesh drinks make it as if I drunk? Right? I didn't drink yet. So Tosafot is saying maybe everybody has to have their own cup by kiddush as well. Okay. What's their proof that might be the case? Kida mashma lekaman, as it sounds in the story later on. Gabe chaziela husaba de gachin v'shateh. Right, this is a story that comes up later in the Gemara, where Rav Asher is a guest, right, and he didn't know exactly what they were going to do in the shul. So what did he do? He made kiddush, and then he waited to see what was going to happen. And what happened? Chaziyeh, he saw lahu saba, the elderly man, gachin v'shateh, bent over and drank from his own cup. Okay, so we see in that story, right, Rav Asher was a guest rabbi, but everybody obviously had a cup because he waited to see when the hahusaba, when the elder man was going to drink, right? For those that are not familiar with that story, Rav Asher wanted to know on Saturday morning, how many berachot do they say? Do they do what we call nowadays kiddushat rabbah, where it's just one beracha, or were they going to say two berachot? So what did he do? He said borei pri hagefen, and then he paused. If nobody in the crowd drank, he would know, okay, they must want me to continue with the kiddush. But if they drink, he would know that they do the short kiddush, like we do on Saturday morning. So that's exactly what he did. Right? He said kiddush, and then he paused, and then he chaziyeh lahu saba dekachin v'shateh. He saw the old man bend over and drink. So then he knew, okay, good. They do the short kiddush, so then he drank also. Okay? So what's implied from that story is that not only the Mekadesh has a cup, because Rav Asher was the Mekadesh, and he waited to see what the audience would do. So you see that even though one person was Mekadesh and everybody was Yotzeh through his Kiddush, it seems that the Kahal also had cups of wine. So Tosafot say, maybe by Kiddush, everyone needs a cup also. And by the 4 cups, for sure, everybody needs a cup. Yeah? Everyone sees that proof? What do you guys think of that proof? Is it clear? Again, they're trying to prove that maybe what we assume by Kiddush, that only the Mekadesh has to drink, is not true. And their proof is, it sounds from this story later on in this Perek, that everybody has to have their own cup by Kiddush. Yes, only the Mekadesh has to say the Beracha, but everybody has to hold their own cup and drink themselves. Okay? The Tosfot say, now we're going to go in the other direction. So if you get motion sickness, buckle your seatbelts, because, right, we're going in the other direction now. We flip-flopped a few times. They say, Aval, Perek Bikol Me'arvin. In Perek Bikol Me'arvin, which is in Masechet Eruvin, they say, Gabe Ziman, regarding the Beracha of Shechiyanu, right? Ziman is the code name for the Beracha of Shechiyanu in the Gemara. Anytime you see Ziman in reference to Berachot, know that we're talking about Shechiyanu, Vikiyimanu, Vigiyanu, La Ziman. So the code name, the nickname that we call the Beracha of Shechiyanu is Ziman. So the Gemara there, Masechet Eruvin, regarding Ziman, the Tosafot say, Mashma Kisat Shelo Haya Lekol Echad Koso. Okay, there the Gemara is talking about Shechiyanu on Rosh Hashanah. And what's the story there? The story is that Rav Chasda was sitting with his family, and the Gemara there says, Va'itule, they brought him a cup of wine, right? The Kaddish, and he said Kiddush. So it sounds like, how many cups did they bring to the table? If the Gemara there says that Rav Chasda sat down to make Kiddush, and then it says they brought him a cup and he said Kiddush, how many cups were brought to the table?
1 cup.
1 cup. Right, so Tosafot say, from there it sounds, from the Gemara and Eruvin, it sounds like 1 cup is enough for everybody. And not everybody has to have their own cup. Right, so on the one hand, we have the Gemara here in our Perek, which says that when Rav Asher was a guest rabbi, everyone in the Kahal had a cup, and therefore he waited to see what they were going to do. But the Gemara in Eruvin says when Rav Chasda was making Kiddush with his family, it says they brought him a cup, and he said Kiddush, which implies that they only brought him a cup. They didn't bring the other family members a cup. Okay? So now we have a counter proof to say that not everybody needs to have their own cup. The odd, and further, the Amar Gemara, the Gemara later on is going to say, regarding the 4 cups of wine, our Gemara, Masechet Pesachim, is going to say later on, Hishka mehen lebanav v'libnei beto yasa. It's going to say that if the leader of the Seder gave his children and his family members to drink from his cup, yatsa, he fulfilled his obligation. V'hu deshata ruba dekasa, as long as he drank most of the cup. As long as he drank most of the cup. So what does that Gemara imply? It's teaching us a chidush, that the leader of the seder, he does not have to drink the entire cup. If his kids want to drink some grape juice also, he could leave some in the cup and then give it to them. As long as he drinks rubad de kasa, he drinks majority of the cup. Okay. Well, I'll ask you guys a scientific question. If I drink majority of this cup and then I give it to JJ, is it possible for him to also drink majority of the cup?
Nope.
Nope. Right? Some simple science there. Right? If only one person could drink majority of a cup. So the Gemara there sounds very interesting, right? The Tosfot say, Mashma dehem yatzu b'shemi'ah. It sounds like the family members were yotzeh just by listening to the leader say his kiddush, and they listened. Deha ba'ina nuba de kasa, because we require him to have majority of the cup. Right? So if we require him to have majority of the cup, what did he leave in the cup for his family? Right? It also says, right? It says, if he let his family drink, he was yotzeh. So Tosfot say, it sounds like normally the custom was not to give them to drink, right? Because it says, if he gave them to drink, he's still yotzeh. Meaning he doesn't need to drink the entire cup. He just has to drink majority. But it sounds like, really, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to drink the entire cup yourself and not share it with your family. So Tosfot is saying, wait, if he's drinking the entire cup or majority of the cup, and then he's sharing it with his family, how are they fulfilling their obligation? It sounds like they're fulfilling their obligation by listening to him. Okay? So just keep track of where we've gone so far. We started off by saying, right, what we assumed, right, what Sammy Berger told us. Now for the 4 cups, everyone needs to drink. By Kiddush, only the Mikadesh has to drink. Then Tosafot said, wait a minute. From our Mishnah, it sounds like only the Mikadesh has to drink. And we proved it from Kiddush, where also only the Mikadesh has to drink. Then we said, wait a minute. Maybe by Kiddush, everybody has to drink. So then for sure by the 4 cups, everybody has to drink. Now we're saying, no, again, by Kiddush, not everybody has to drink. And by the 4 cups, also not everybody has to drink. Okay, so that's where we're up to right now. Right now, we're up to Kiddush, not everybody has to drink. And the 4 cups, also, not everybody has to drink. Okay? Before we move on to Tosfot's bringing us in for a landing, any questions or comments? We're good? Okay. So say the Tosfot miu, however, yesh lidchot, we could reject this proof. We could reject the proof that we just proved from the Gemara later in our Perek, which said that if he gave his family to drink, he is yotzeh, which implied that only he has to drink and he just gives them the leftovers, but they already fulfilled their obligation with his drinking. We could reject that. How? That they have their own cups, right? And this happens to me every week, right? What do? I make kiddush on a big cup. My kids have a little cup. They drink it, and then they also want to finish my cup, right? Because grape juice is delicious, and they also want to drink from my cup. So even in a case where they have their own cup, the kids still want to finish the balabayit, the Mikadesh's cup, right? It's a thrill for the kids to drink from their father's cup. So Tosfot say, maybe when the Gemara said, when he gave his children and his family members to drink from the cup, they had their own cup, and that's how they fulfilled their obligation. They just wanted to drink more. So they asked him, can I finish your cup? So we say, sure, you're allowed to finish his cup as long as he drank majority. If he drank majority, he could share the rest with his family. Okay, so from there, we have lost that proof. We lost that proof to say that by the 4 cups, only the Mikadesh has to drink. Now, maybe everybody has to drink the 4 cups. Inameh. Alternatively, another way that we could reject that proof that only the Mikadesh has to drink based on that Gemara. Also practical for me, right? where the children are kitanim, they're under the age of bar mitzvah, right? So what is it saying? They don't need to fulfill their obligation because they're under bar mitzvah. They don't have an obligation in the first place. And they ask him, can we drink from your cup? So the Gemara says yes. They're allowed to drink from his cup, and he'll fulfill his obligation as long as he drinks majority, meaning he has to drink majority, and he could share the little bit that's left with his kids. So they don't even need their own cups. Okay, so they say two ways to answer the question is either that everyone had their own cup and he's just letting them drink extra, or it's that they didn't have their own cup, but they're kitanim, and therefore they didn't need their own cup, and he's letting them finish his cup. Okay? Right? They didn't reach the age of chinuch. They didn't reach the age where we're obligated to teach them how to do the mitzvot, because at the age of chinuch, the Gemara is going to say later on, you already are obligated to give even kids 4 cups. Right? Usually kids are not obligated in the mitzvot, but by the 4 cups, we say even kids have to drink them if they've reached the age of chinuch. Okay? And they say ve'enish lo bichlal. Obviously, according to that second rejection, his wife is not included because his wife is, we assume, his wife is bat mitzvah, right? So she would need to have a cup. So when it said to share the leftovers from his cup with his family, it must mean the kids in his family that are under bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah, not including his wife. Okay? So again, we had a proof from the Gemara later on that only the Mikadesh, only the leader of the Seder has to drink, because it says he could share the leftovers of his cup with his family as long as he drinks majority, which implies that only he fulfills his obligation with his own cup, but everybody else doesn't have a cup, it seems, because they're finishing his. So we answered it either that you could say that they all had their own cup, or you could say that they're under the age of bar bat mitzvah and they didn't need to have their own cup. Okay, so again, if you're tracking where we're up to in terms of the halacha, at this point, we're back to everyone needs to have their own cup for the 4 kosot. Okay? Now, the Tosafot are going to actually bring an even stronger proof to this. They say, Umiyu b'Gemara mashma. So they're saying, right, we started off our Mishnah by saying, we started off our Tosafot by saying what? That the Mishnah, because it used the word law, sounds like only he has to drink. So now they're saying, yeah, we got to squash that whole thing. Why? Miu, however, b'Gemara mashma, the Gemara later on is going to say, Shesarich kol echad arba kosot. It says, it's going to say later that it sounds like everybody needs their own 4 cups. Why? The Katani, it says in the Braita, hakol chayavin ba'arba kosot, echad nashim, echad tinokot. It says everyone needs to have, everybody is obligated in the 4 cups, including women and including children. Okay? So, according to that, if everyone's obligated, it sounds like everybody needs their own cup. And then the Gemara there has a machloket. That's the Tanakama that says even kids need a drink. Amar Rabbi Yehuda says, Ma to'ela letinokot bayayin. Rabbi Yehuda says, what are you giving wine to kids for? They don't know what's going on anyway. He actually says to give them candy. Okay? But the Tosafot mashma, the Tanakama sarich kos af latinokot. According to the Tanakama, it sounds like everybody, men, women, and even children, need to have their own 4 cups. So now we have a proof against our original premise, which was that the law in our Mishnah is only talking to the man of the household, to the Mikadesh. Okay, because the Gemara later on is going to say everybody's obligated in the 4 cups. Can anybody guess how Tosfot are going to reject this proof? They have one more turn left in them. Read carefully the words that the Braita says. Hakol hayavin arba kosot. Everybody is obligated in the 4 cups.
Obligated as opposed to reshut, meaning like it's...
Good. That's one way to read it. But there's another way to read it. Okay? Notice that it didn't say chayavin lishtot arba kosot. It just said chayavin ba'arba kosot, meaning they're obligated in the mitzvah. Which leaves the door open for Tosafot to say the following. They say, v'yesh litchot, we could reject this proof. Chayavin lishmoa birkat arba kosot kamar. What did it mean when it said chayavin, obligated? It meant they're obligated to hear the 4 cups. They're hear the beracha on the 4 cups. They're not obligated. When it said chayavin, it doesn't mean they're obligated to drink all 4 cups, it means they're obligated to hear somebody who's drinking the 4 cups. Umishum chinuch, in order to become educated in the mitzvah. Okay? So Tosfot tried to bring a positive proof that everyone needs their own cup, and they ended up rejecting it and saying, no, this proof is not conclusive because it doesn't say the word drink. It just says they're obligated. So obligated could mean obligated to drink, or it could mean obligated to listen. We don't know. Okay? So again, let's review our roadmap here. We started off by saying from our Mishnah, it sounds like lo yifchetu lo. Only for him, he gets the 4 cups and not everybody else. And we tried to support that from Kiddush. Then we said maybe even by Kiddush it's not true. Maybe by Kiddush everybody needs to drink also. And we brought a proof to that. And then we said no. By Kiddush actually we have a proof that not everybody has to drink. Okay? Then we said we have a proof by the 4 cups that only the father has to drink and not everybody else. But then we rejected it and said no. Maybe everyone had their own cup, or maybe they were kids under the age of chinuch. Then we said we actually have a positive proof that everyone has to drink because it says the word hakol chayavin, but we rejected that proof and we said that it doesn't say everybody's obligated to drink. It could mean everyone's obligated to listen. So basically, we got nothing. We have no idea whether or not everyone is obligated to drink the 4 cups or only the Mikadesh is obligated to drink the 4 cups. So what do you guys think the Tosafot are going to say?
Meaning, what's going to be their maskana?
Yeah, what are they going to say to do for the halacha? They can't just leave us hanging.
I would assume that they're going to say that what we do now, that Kiddush is only that you could be fulfilled Shomea Keoneh, but to Seder, everyone needs to have their cup.
Okay, so very good. So let's see. Okay, you said exactly what I wanted you to say. Okay, if we had to predict what
be trapped.
Well, it's not a total trap. You'll see. Okay, when right. So we had 2 open questions. It seems right. We had an open question about whether everybody has to drink for Kiddush and whether everybody has to drink for the 4 cups. So listen what Tosfot say. V'nir'ah. It seems lehachmir that we should be strict. Ulhatzrich arba kosot lekol echad. We should require every person to have their own of the 4 cups. Okay? Exactly as we predicted by the 4 cups. The Tosafot say, look, we're not sure, does everybody need their own or not? So let's be machmir. Everybody has to have their own. And then they just add one more halacha. The hamachmir, if you're going to be machmir and listen to us and give everybody their own one of the 4 cups, sarich lizaher shelo yeheh kosam pagum. You have to make sure that they don't have a kos pagum. Excuse me, a kos pagum means a cup that's missing or defective. What does that mean? How does a kos become defective? If somebody drank from it, right? To have a kos shalem, a complete cup, that's a freshly poured cup. Once somebody drinks from it, it puts a blemish in the cup. And you're not allowed to make kiddush or beracha on that cup anymore. Okay? So Tosfot say, if you're giving everybody their own 4 cups, right, you might be tempted to, give a guy, I'm giving, maybe for myself I'll have a good cup, but my kids, what should I do? I give them 1 cup, and I fill it up, and I tell them, look, this will be your cup for the night. This is your quota of grape juice for the night. Sip it as the night goes on. So we're saying, no way. What are you talking about? Every time you take a sip, you made it pagum. So you can't make a new beracha on it. So how are you going to get through all 4 cups? So what is the answer? We could be mitaken the kos pagum. You could fix a kos pagum by pouring either more grape juice or wine into it, or by even pouring water into it. Okay? But anyway, they say, so if you're going to be strict and listen to us and give a cup to everybody, make sure that it's not a kos pagum. The Gemara is going to say later, ta'amo pigamo. If you drink from it, you are pogemet. You blemish it. So make sure that if you're going to give everybody their own cup, 4 cups throughout the whole night, make sure that each one of them is a kos shalem. Make sure that none of them are kos pagum. Okay? There's one problem, guys. Does anybody know what the problem is?
What's our answer? Psak halacha.
Good. So they don't say what to do for kiddush, right? They only said what to do for the 4 cups. For the 4 cups, they suggested be machmir. Everybody should have their own one of the 4 cups. What about by kiddush? They don't say what to do. Okay? So we have to take a look, Bezat Hashem, maybe we could take a look into the Bet Yosef and see what the Bet Yosef says about Kiddush. But I'll just tell you outside for now, of course, we all know that the common practice is that only the person making Kiddush is obligated to drink. But I remember learning, see how many years ago, 8-9 years ago, learning this Tosafot with my rabbi, Rav Mordechai Willig, and he said that some people have the custom based on this, that since Tosafot say we should be strict by the 4 cups, they don't say what to do by Kiddush. So they say, well, let's be strict by Kiddush also. And they require that everybody by Kiddush also have their own cup to drink from. Okay? So
I think that's an Ashkenazic tradition.
definitely.
Yeah, then not so much a Sephardic, but Ashkenaz for sure.
Right.
Everybody has their own cup.
Good. Awesome. Thank you, Dad. So yes. So for sure, right, if we look at the halakha, we'll see exactly that's borne out, is that for Sephardim, there's definitely no obligation, and even Ashkenazim, not all of them have the custom. But I remember my rabbi, Rav Mordechai Willig, saying that this is the source for that custom of everybody to have their own cup, because the Tosafot say that by the 4 cups, everyone has to have their own cup, and of course that's what we do. We follow the Tosafot on that, but they don't say what to do by Kiddush. So if you're really, looking at this Tosafot, we should assume that it's the same thing by Kiddush every week as well, and therefore it's recommended that everyone should try and have their own cup as well by Kiddush, even for Friday night. But again, for the bottom line halakha, for the just the bare bones halakha, we do have to look at the poskim. But again, I'm just wanted to share. I remember learning this specific Tosafot with my rabbi about 9 years ago, and him saying that this fact that the Tosafot here don't say what to do by Kiddush, but it's implied a little bit that we should be strict by Kiddush, that some people develop the custom to not only be strict by the 4 cups, but also to be strict by Kiddush. Okay? So any closing thoughts or questions on this big Tosafot?
Can't you make the diuk the opposite way? Meaning that they said the Tosafot answered in the end, you can be machmir. We should be machmir by the seder and have everyone have their 4 cups. And you can say, as opposed to Kiddush, where you can fulfill it through Shomer Kaoneh, we are lenient there. Meaning they said the answer for the seder should be machmir. Can you make the diuk in the opposite direction? Like in the beginning of the Tosafot, they made a diuk. Not that this diuk would hold so much water, but
since they didn't say be machmir for Kiddush, it means that you only have to be machmir for the 4 cups. And they're sticking to what they said at the beginning. Yeah, that's for sure a way to interpret it. And in fact, as we've already pointed out, the halakha is not strict, right? We know halakha lema'aseh, not everybody's obligated to have their own cup. But since there is room for interpretation, some people have developed a custom to be machmir and require everybody to have their own cup based on the fact that this ending here is a little bit open-ended. But yes, for sure, your reading is perfectly acceptable, and in fact, the halakha supports your reading. That since they only said be strict by the 4 cups, it implies that you don't have to be strict by Kiddush, and we fall back on the first thing they said about Kiddush, which is right here, right? We said, right, mi Kiddush kol hashana she'echad motzi et kulam. That during Kiddush of all year, one person fulfills the obligation for everybody through his drinking. Yes. So definitely that's a very, very valid reading. But like I said, since they left the end open, there's a open door to anybody that wants to say you have to be strict based on this Tosafot. All right. Thank you, everybody.
beautiful. Chazak u'baruch. Thank you.
Thank you.